I've always loved hats, but I just never thought I could wear them, and I don't know what to do with them when I do have one.
Well, what I find is that most women who tell me that they cannot wear hats are either wearing the wrong size, the wrong shape, the wrong color, or the wrong style for their personality. So do you have anything specific that you're thinking about that's confusing you?
I guess I just always have thought that I just didn't have the right face for it. So any direction you can give me on what works, and I really don't know what's available out there.
Well, there's actually just about any kind of hat that you would be interested in is available. And right now, if you're not used to wearing hats, one thing that I do recommend is that if you've not been wearing hats, you might want to try just a small hat like this.
It's so adorable.
And these are a lot of what people are confused about when they start wearing a small hat or a cocktail hat like this, is they worry about how they're going to secure it to their head.
Yeah, because there isn't a lot there to lock in,
Right, but there's actually a lot of tricks, and these are actually very easy fixes that milliners have been using for many, many years to secure the hats where they should be on the head. At one time, ladies spent a lot of time using the long hat pins.
Right.
And that's how they secured it. They literally stuck it through one side of the hat, under their hair, and through the other side. And by going under the hair, they were holding the hat in place.
Okay.
However, we don't use hat pins to the same extent now that we used to. So if you're not accustomed to wearing a hat, one thing that you can do, a lot of ladies are familiar with headbands.
Sure.
They're used to wearing them, so they're comfortable. Now what I do with my small hats like this is I stitch little elastic loops underneath the sweatband so that they can either slide onto a headband, or you also have the option of securing it with a little tiny comb. So let me just give you an idea of how that will work. You would start out by putting the elastic loops over a headband. And this is just a plastic headband that's got a little bit of grosgrain ribbon on it. It doesn't have to have the ribbon on it. It just depends on your taste. And if you don't want a wide headband, you can get the plastic ones either in more narrow sizes, or you can go with just a very narrow metal headband.
Oh, okay.
And that would work as well. And once you get this in position on your headband, it's literally nothing more than wearing a headband. But one thing to keep in mind when you're doing this is just slide it up, not clear to the top, but so that it's a little bit off kilter here, because you want to have a little bit of an angle.
Oh, okay.
It gives you a little more interest and looks just a little more, just not bland. You don't really want something like this sitting right in the center of your head.
Right.
Okay, so let me give you an idea of what something like this would look like. And I'm going to just tuck your hair back just a little bit, because we want to place the headband behind the ears. Let's tuck your hair back just a little bit as well. And there, see, if you want to take a look in the mirror, that gives you...
Oh, that's so cute!
Now see, that would be something that most people would be comfortable wearing, because
Absolutely.
it's not overly large, and it gets you kind of worked into being able to wear hat.
And I would assume that there are just dozens and dozens of style options.
Yes, you can go as fancy or as plain as you want. You could add feathers, you could add brooches, you could go completely plain if you wanted. Just any little thing, whatever would suit your personality. And they're fun. A lot of young girls like them, but older ladies as well when they're not used to wearing a hat. We want to give them something they're comfortable in. So that would be one option. But one thing I wanted to discuss is, since you do wear glasses, I know as a glasses wearer myself, when you're wearing a headband and glasses, it can be very intense.
Yes.
So I have a solution for that as well.
Oh, good.
And we will take this off. And what I try to do with these types of hats, these just little tiny hats, and these hats can range in size as well. They don't have to be this small.
Mm-hmm.
They could be, they could be large enough to actually cover the whole side of your head.
Mm-hmm.
But I also affix a comb.
Combs never stay in my hair.
I have a solution for that though. Because a lot of ladies have trouble with that, and they're afraid that the comb's going to slide. And if you've ever had really silky hair, which a lot of us like to have, you put a comb in and it just kind of slowly droops throughout the day. Well, if you just take just a little bit of your hair and you want to grab just a little bit about where you want to position that hat, and then you are going to put in a little pin curl, and we slide one hairpin in one direction, and we will slide another one in the other direction. So what you are doing is effectively making an X with those hairpins. Now once you have that done, you're going to take this little comb and you are going to slide it right underneath that pin curl, and there you go.
That is brilliant.
And if you find that you have one that rocks, then you're just going to take another hairpin, and where you have those elastic loops, we will take a little bit of hair, and we will catch the elastic loop, stick it through, and that will help hold that hat in position.
That's amazing.
So
that's so cute.
so now once you get used to having a small one, take this out for you. Once you're used to having that, then you can graduate to a little bit larger hat. And again, this is a cocktail style hat. These were very popular back during, I would say, 30s, 40s, into the 50s. Now back in the 50s and 60s, these hats were worn on the back of the head back here.
Right.
And a lot of times they used the hairpins, but they also used combs. Now today, ladies are not wearing them to the back so much, so we need to secure them on the side. So what we're going to do is, I have here a series of little tiny loops that have been stitched underneath the sweatband on the hat. Now you can use these two ways. You can either slip the little combs in, it's very easy, these slide right in and right out. If you have a larger hat that you need to secure that's a little heavier, you can get larger combs, but they just slide right through those little loops. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to decide where we want it, and we are going to slide it right underneath that little pin curl. And then we're going to, and with this hat, because we do have pin curls, so we would do one up here, and then we would do one here. Then you would take these little loops that are sticking out here, and again, you're going to gather up a little bit of your hair. And most times hats look best if you keep your hair off your forehead, where the hat sits more forward. But we would put the hairpin through that little loop and catch the hair underneath. And I didn't catch very good here. But you would put that through and it would secure the hat, and you could wear this hat literally all day long. You wouldn't even know you had it on your head because it's very light.
It's very comfortable. I mean, like I said, I really don't even know it's there. But it's absolutely precious.
Thank you.
It's a lot of, it's just so much fun. I mean, I would never have thought I could wear something like this.
Yeah, And it's not hard to keep them on your head at
Really
all.
change your personality
simply by changing your hat. So there we have that option. Now, if you don't want to use the hair combs, then of course you can take the combs off and just simply pin in however many little loops it takes for your particular hair type, where you're wearing it, and so on. So that's another option. Then we have one that has become very popular, and that is just a simple elastic headband.
Okay.
And this one, there again, is, you know, a lot of ladies tell me, well, I've got a flat head and it won't stay, but these are so thin that they really do stay even if you have a flat head in back. So this, we're going to put this over your head, and it's going to fit under your hair, so nobody's going to see this elastic.
Oh, good. I was hoping it wasn't going to wear it under my chin.
Well, and even with your darker hair, we can put brown, we can put black, and so we can actually match these somewhat to your hair color, which makes them even more invisible. So you're going to first put the hat over, and then we're going to pull the hair out. Okay, and then you want to put your hat on from the front to the back. And this one, then we will put behind the ears there, and behind the ear here. And it is just going to sit right there, just above your eye, which is going to draw attention to that pretty eye.
That is so precious. I just never thought they could be so much fun and so cute to wear.
Yeah, and you can turn these around. You can wear them different directions. If you don't want this much attention on your face, you can turn them around, or you can slide it back a little bit and pull it down a little more to the side of the head. And if you're afraid that somebody's going to see the elastic, just pull a few strands of hair out, pull it back over the elastic, secure it with a hairpin, and nobody will ever see that elastic, and you can walk around all day. And
it's precious. Now, what type of hat is this?
This is actually a cocktail hat. Now, a lot of people are going to call that a fascinator, but a fascinator is predominantly used to describe a hair ornament that goes on a headband, usually has feathers or flowers, but it's very small. The smaller hats that you're seeing today that many people are calling fascinators are actually cocktail hats.
Okay.
So, and those can, I mean, they can be as wild or as plain as you want them to be. This is another style that would, this particular one actually has elastic on it, but it could fit over top of a headband just as easily. And these are actually, I even refer to these as my headband hats because they wrap around your head just like a headband. And I have often recommended a style like this for someone who wants to start wearing hats but has not worn them. So, now, the reason why we use a lot of different techniques kind of depends on the hat itself, how heavy it is, and how it's going to be worn, what your particular needs are. If you have a heavier hat, you're going to need maybe a little more help keeping it in place. Now, this hat, while it's bigger, it's not a lot heavier, but it is a little heavier. And this is actually a cineme straw. Now this, if you feel it and look at it, you can tell it is a very lightweight straw. And it doesn't have a whole lot of weight to it. I actually freeform blocked this one and put it over top of a buckram frame. So it gives it a little more support, but it also added just a little bit of weight. But with this hat, you'll see that this side is actually, well, it's a little crazy. It's still a little more subdued. If you turn it around, you've got all these handmade flowers, which are a little more wild.
A little more drama.
A little more drama. And if you're not used to wearing a hat, it might be a little off-putting to you. But the reason why I design the hats the way I do is because you can actually turn this hat and you can wear it to the front right there, which is absolutely adorable on you.
Yes,
and
so cute.
And that is going to give you a little more wild hat, but it's not going to make you afraid to wear it because all those flowers are at the back. You can't see them.
Right.
And when you look in the mirror, if you're at the Kentucky Derby, you go to the restroom, you look in the mirror, and you see all these flowers and you're not used to seeing them, it can kind of maybe make you feel a little uncomfortable.
Right.
And we want you to feel very comfortable, whether it's securing the hat or making sure that hat is not overwhelming for your personality.
Right.
But once you've worn a hat for a while, you're going to find that you're going to become a little more daring. So then you have the option of turning this hat, and you can either wear it right down over the side and give yourself a few flowers to look at.
It's like a whole new hat.
It is. You literally can have 3 hats in one. And once you're used to that, if you just feel crazy, you just want to go a little more wild, then we're going to turn the hat around. We're going to wear that to the back, and we're going to be a little flower child in front. And that really brings out the blue in your eyes, having those flower petals that close to your eyes.
That's amazing. I can't believe to get 3 completely different looks from the same hat.
Yeah. And when I design a hat like this, many times I don't decide right there when I am designing it how I'm going to affix it. I have an idea, and I have a lot of different options that I can use, but I try to work closely with my client so that the client gives me some feedback and I know more what their personality is and how they're going to wear the hat. Once I know how they're going to wear that hat, then I have all these variety of choices that we can use. And if you want a little more versatility, you might use one option over another. So if you said, well, I want to wear it frontwards and I want to wear it backwards, well, then we're going to use probably some elastic or some loops so that you can turn it, 180 degrees and make it fit right where you want it to fit at that particular moment. Now, if you say, well, I want to graduate into this hat, I want to make sure that I can turn it whatever direction, or say I'm talking to you long distance through email and making this sale. Say you're in California and I'm here in Ohio, then I would discuss your needs with you, and I may have a photograph of you so I can kind of decide what's going to look the best. But sometimes just turning that hat an inch to an inch and a half makes a huge difference in how you look and how you feel. So what I would do in that instance is I would make sure you had loops all the way around that hat, and you would have a variety of choices of where you could use loops and you could use combs, and I might even provide a couple different elastic bands in different places so that no matter what angle you decided, you could secure that hat. Now, another option that I give my clients is a wire frame. Now, these are made out of just regular hat wire, and they fit underneath the sweatband of a hat and underneath the lining, and they actually fit fairly securely to the head. This would be what I would use for a hat that had very much weight to it. And depending on your head size and depending on your head shape and what special considerations we needed to think about would be how I would decide where to put these prongs. This isn't a terribly heavy hat, so I've only got 2 prongs on this. Now, in some cases, I may have to add some other ways to secure the hat, depending on who the client is. If I had a heavier hat, I would not only have the 2 prongs, one behind each ear, but I would also have 1 or 2 prongs in back, and sometimes it's even necessary to put 1 prong towards the front of the head to kind of help balance that hat. So let's go ahead and try this one on, and we're going to put it in front, kind of gather your hair, use the hat to pull your hair back. The short prong will go behind the right ear. Because women most times wear their hats on the right because they're always right. Men tend to wear theirs on the left. Now, once we get this hat in position, you're going to feel that it does grip pretty well to the head.
It actually feels really pretty secure.
But at the same time, it might have a little bit of wobble there, and we want to make sure that if you bump or you move your head a lot, that we take that into consideration. So what you can do is you can gather just a little bit of hair from the front, and you can pull that right over those wires and secure it with hairpins. Now that is going to cover the wire, but it's also going to help add to the security. Now what I suggest most often is, because this wire has it effectively has a loop in it,
Right.
what I often suggest is that we pull the hair from inside the wire, pull that back, secure that with hairpins, then pull the hair from the front over and secure it.
Okay.
And then in addition to that, if you've got a heavy hat, we could either add more prongs, or we could add maybe an elastic loop under your hair, combs, just depending on the weight of that hat and what the specific needs are for you, the event, and so on like that. Someone going to the Kentucky Derby, they've got to have a hat that's going to hold up to wind, sometimes rain, and so on, which they really need to cover their hat at that point, because most millinery hats aren't going to make it through a rainstorm. But we want to make sure that the wind doesn't tear it off your head.
Right.
Now, if you were, say, wearing this as a bridal hat, then you might want to have your hair up,
Okay.
maybe curls. You could nestle this hat right in amongst curls, and then your hairdresser could literally make little curls, and those curls could then be pinned in and amongst the wire, which
Okay.
would give you even more security.
And you wouldn't need to worry about it coming off dancing and things like that.
No, if you're going to be wearing a hat like this dancing, we would make sure that we had it secured very, very well before we sent you away, because you are going to be moving your head a lot, especially at a wedding. You're getting hugged, there's a lot of activity going on. So we would use, sometimes you have to use 3 or 4 different methods on the same hat. And usually that's, a hat that's made for a special occasion.
Right.
Most hats you don't need to use that much,
But and actually, the wires are very comfortable.
they are. They're very comfortable. Now, if I have a client that has a very sensitive head and just pressure points bother them, I know sometimes I have that. I can actually kind of pad the ends of those wires a little bit to kind of give them a little more cushion. We don't want to do it too much, because you want that wire to kind of grip. We can also cover these in velvet and other things that will actually help grip the hair. So this is really just a thread covered wire the way it is now, but we can do that, and we can sometimes color those wires different colors so that they blend in with your hair a little bit more.
Wonderful.
Okay, and then of course we've got the standard, where I still have some clients who say, I want a sun hat, but I want to be able to wear it outside when it's windy. I live my life outside. I've got to have something to tie it on my head. And we can do that as well. Now, this is not your typical sun hat. And I do have these straps are just temporarily tacked in here, just to kind of give you an idea of how we would address that issue. So I generally make satin, silk, or sometimes even a cotton strap that we can put on. This is not necessarily a hat that you would see a lot of women wearing around today. I know you take part in some Jane Austen festivals and so on like that. So something like this might be appealing to you.
Absolutely.
And
beautiful.
If you were going to be attending a festival, you might put the hat on and wear it this way, so that it would resemble a bonnet.
Right.
But if you were going to wear this as a day hat or a sun hat, if you just decided you wanted to have that feel, but you really didn't have a special event.
Every day is special for women.
You are absolutely right. Every day is special. So we're going to just put this on the right, and we're going to tilt it so that it actually comes down on the right side, curves up, and gives you that pleasing little frame around your face. And this is one way where you can wear vintage style or antique style hats even today. And what we're going to do is, we don't want to just do a plain bow underneath your chin. Because you have this beautiful angle of the hat that's kind of coming down, drawing attention to the eye, cutting the forehead. You want to pull your bow up to the side. We're going to tuck it under your chin. Now the way to always tie a perfect bow is you're going to pull this top one up here. This is always going to wrap around. So make your loop with the bottom one. You're going to wrap around with the top one. And then you are just going to pull your bow. This is going to give you a very large bow with the strap under the chin. You're going to adjust your hat back so that it's on the side of the head. You've got the bow, a large bow on the right. The bow and the angle of the hat match.
Oh, that's wonderful. Who could just not want to wear this all the time? Where's Mr. Darcy?
Where's Mr. Darcy? And if you really want to complement the hat with your hair, you're going to pull your hair around this way. Gather it all up into a very sleek, pretty bun right there. It'll fit right behind the ear, under the hat.
It's a really nice compliment to the tilt.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. That's so pretty.
Draws more attention to the hat. And, you know, you want to make sure that when you are doing your hair and your hat, you think about what you're going to do with each one, because you don't want your hair and your hat to fight each other. You want them to complement each other. Just like when you pick out your dress, you want your shoes and your purse to complement your outfit. You want your hair to complement your hat, because it's just what puts that look together.
Oh, it is just gorgeous. This is my favorite. This is definitely my favorite.
And then if you wanna just have the same straps on a sun hat, I mean, if you've got a sun hat that's basically a close crown, large brim, we can put the same style straps on. They're just going to come down. You're going to tie them underneath your chin. If you've got a desire to tilt that hat, you can. But if you just want an all-purpose hat that you can tie under your chin and keep it on, maybe you're at the beach and it's just really, really windy, you can tie it underneath your chin and off you go. Another option for ties or something that goes under your chin, and we use this most often if I am making something similar to a work hat or a boonie hat. Some people like to go out and kayak. They want just a cloth hat that they can wear.
Right.
So we use a cinched strap.
Right.
So you've got, most often they're made out of leather, and you just cinch them up, and that's going to hold your hat.